A very shy guy goes into a bar and sees a beautiful woman sitting at the bar. After an hour of gathering up his courage, he finally goes over to her and asks, tentatively, would you mind if I chatted with you for a while? To which she responds by yelling, at the top of her lungs, no, I won't sleep with you tonight. Everyone in the bar is now staring at them. Naturally, the guy is hopelessly and completely embarrassed and he slinks back to his table. After a few minutes, the woman walks over to him and apologizes. She smiles at him and says, I'm sorry if I embarrassed you. You see, I'm a graduate student in psychology and I'm studying how people respond to embarrassing situations. To which he responds, at the top of his lungs, what do you mean, $200? A man walks into a bar. He orders 9 shots. The bartender, apprehensive, asks, what's the occasion? The man mumbles, first. The bartender brightens up, pours 9 shots and lays them out. The man downs all 9 in a row. The bartender, still smiling, says, hey, make it an even 10. On the house. The man shakes his head. No thanks. If the first 9 didn't wash out the taste, I doubt one more would help. A guy walks into a diner on the side of the road. The place is really old and messy, but he was hungry from the road, so he sat at the table and ordered spaghetti with meatballs. After a while, the waitress gave him the order, and he saw a bunch of thick hairs on some of the meatballs. He calls the waitress, hey, miss, there are a bunch of hairs in my food. I know it's not supposed to be the cleanest place, but what the hell? The waitress apologizes, I'm sorry, sir, it's just that our chef is a vet who lost his arm in Afghanistan. He's a great cook and very creative, so we let him work here, but since he only has one arm, he has to shape them on his chest, and probably hairs that poke out stick to them. Suddenly a dude who sat nearby said, if that's your chef's creativity, then please cancel my order of donuts, I'm scared of how he makes the holes. A blind man walks into a diner and sits down in a booth. The waitress walks up and asks him for his order, and he simply requests a dirty fork from the kitchen. Reluctantly, the waitress brings him the fork, and the blind man promptly puts the fork in his mouth to taste it. Pork chops. Delicious. I'll have the pork chops. The next day, the blind man comes in and sits down in the same booth and makes the same strange request. Again, the waitress brings him a dirty fork from the kitchen, and again, the blind man puts the fork in his mouth. Chicken pot pie. Delicious. I'll have the chicken pot pie. The day after that, the same blind man comes in, sits in the same booth, and makes the same request again. The other waitresses have begun to notice this strange man, and a few of the employees have decided to play a prank on the strange man. When the waitress goes back to get a dirty fork for the man, she first gives the fork to her boyfriend, one of the cooks in the kitchen. He takes the fork, rubs it across his testicles, and hands it back to the waitress. The blind man places the fork in his mouth and makes a confused face. What's wrong? Asks the waitress, awaiting his reply. Perry works here?